What about the issue which is sort of focused on by the headline of the article, that it's a we against them issue in terms of the Sconset project?
Well, I think that's an undercurrent that runs through this that, of course, nobody really likes to talk about. But I think it is, a fact of life. It's not only a fact here; it's a fact in Malibu. It's, the fact of the matter is that people who have homes along with dramatic and immediate ocean views, generally can afford to pay a lot more for those houses.
Have you been to Matticat recently?
Well, I as part of the reporting on the story, Sarah Octay and I went out to Matticat, and I described sort of what I see out there. Obviously, well, I mean, look, in Matticat, there are houses that are in the middle of the beach on stilts, which is quite an astounding sight to see in Nantucket. But then, around the corner is, the beautiful billionaire's home where Mitt Romney had his fundraiser last summer. So,
but that's not on the ocean.
No, it's not on the ocean, but it's look. I mean, the Bluff Cliff. The Bluff is a very unique environment. It's very dramatic and very dramatically beautiful. You see from 10 years earlier in the pictures in the magazine that there were beautiful great lawns going down to gradual shrubbery filled bluff down to the ocean with a wide beach. I mean, so. It's changed a lot in 10 years, and I guess the thing here is, I mean, you could see it as class warfare. You could see it as a blessing. I mean, why the town selectmen? What must have been one of the reasons that they approved this sort of private-public partnership with the Sconset Bluff Preservation Fund is recently to do the revetment, is because they were faced with the stark choice of Baxter Road actually deteriorating so far that it goes into the ocean, and then the people on the north end of Baxter Road, closest to the lighthouse, have no access to their homes, and all the services that the town is required to provide, and they've calculated that might cost $15 million, and so you can not like the people on Baxter Road or think that why should we do anything to help these rich people preserve their views. On the other hand, what they're proposing isn't going to cost the town any money or very little money, especially when compared to having to replace Baxter Road. So I think that's one of the reasons the town selectmen approved it 4-1. But now, of course, you've got the Conservation Commission, which has a very different mindset. And
one of the things that you mentioned, the picture from years ago with the big, vast green lawns going down to the edge of the bluff. I stood on your next-door neighbor's lawn about 3 years ago with a coastal geologist who came up here from North Carolina to participate in a symposium on rising sea levels that was put on by Remain Nantucket. And he became with an associate, and we talked a lot, and we were given a lot of the history of the ebb and flow of the shoreline there and of Codfish Park and so forth. But very close to the end of the meeting, one of them leaned over the bluff and saw these black pipes sticking out from the bluff, and he said, "What are those?" And your neighbor said, "Oh, they're irrigation pipes." And both these guys' mouths dropped open, and they said, "You mean you're irrigating this bluff?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, all you're doing is softening all the sand all the way down and making it easier for it to erode." Which is an it's not it's an interesting observation. They know more than I do.
Well, you can make that argument about anybody who around Nantucket who irrigates. There
are different issues with different people depending on where they are, because you got the fertilizer runoff issue and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to remember, as Helmut Weimar, who is my neighbor, who has been leading this effort for whatever it is, 25 years, explained to me, when he first moved here, in the 1950s and rented the house next to mine and then eventually bought it, I mean, this wasn't even an issue, right? He had a big yard, and there was a gradual slope down to a very wide beach that was fully vegetated. as he said, he could hear the sound of the bluefish, feeding in the water and run down, his step ladder and go out and start fishing. I mean, obviously a lot has changed in this period of time.
It certainly has changed. It's also an interesting, I have not researched this independently, but I'm told that when each of those lots, when the road was subdivided and the lots were created, each of the lots was sold with the lot behind on the other side of the road. And, people didn't think they would need it. It was sold to them just for that reason. And they didn't think they would need it, so they sold them off. And of course, except for a few. And so when the time came, they don't have that backup, if you will.
Well, that is interesting. It's and those who like Helmut has two lots still on the other side of the house. So what I find interesting is he has those lots. There are houses on them. He rents them out, and I guess his family uses them. I mean, he has a perfect solution. He doesn't have to keep fighting this, but he is a determined guy, and he believes this is the right thing to do. And other neighbors, of course, have done that as well. My house doesn't have such a luxury. Sarah Octay's view is, this is inevitable. It's going to happen. Let's let it happen. Let's not mess with Mother Nature. Move your house back if you want, and that's probably what I'm going to have to do. I don't have that much to move it, but it's such a extraordinarily beautiful spot that it's probably something that just has to be done. And after that, I'm going to have to go the way of the Furrows' house or something, which ended up in the dumpster in the town dump in April. So if there's no solution allowed by the Conservation Commission, which and I've attended the last two hearings, and I would have to say, even though I'm sort of not privy to all the discussions that have been going on or anything, but just as a outside observer with an interest, I'd have to say the body language could not be worse. The conservation, I don't think I heard any member of the Conservation Commission actually speak positively about this. So I expect that it won't be approved, and eventually it's just all gonna go away. And the people who are on the other side of Baxter Road are now going to have very soon oceanfront property, and they'll go on from there.
And then they'll have the same issue.
Yes, they will. And it's happening, as you know, all around the island.
What is going on in Malibu? Are they actually addressing the issue, or are they sort of at the same standoff?
They, as you can see from the pictures, they have actually put the rock revetments along, and they have, I think, even a higher proportion of wealthy and bold-faced named people than we do here in Nantucket, which may be hard to believe, but it's true. And they have successfully put the rock revetments in. It has gobbled up a portion of the beach, but I think they have been able to save their homes. They're talking about bringing in sand, and there's the same dynamic. I mean, what I find so interesting is like in the Hamptons, or there's two dynamics. Like in the Hamptons, the billionaire hedge fund guys have just put the rocks down, and they'll beg for forgiveness later. This storm this winter also took a huge toll on Plum Island, on the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and there the town the wisdom was do whatever you need to do to save your home. Obviously in Nantucket, there's a very different, thought process and dynamic, and we'll just have to see where ends up. But in the meantime, it seems lovely now, and there's no threat, during the summer. But as we all know, during the winter months, it can be very devastating, and it'll just continue to erode. There's no question about it.
Bill Cohan, thank you very much. Appreciate your joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.